She's known by so many different names. Isis, the Anima, Chaos. They call her the goddess of 10,000 names. Unmeasured and unpredictable, she knows your soul better than you ever can. She creates confusion and dances with delight in its disarray. She has the sense, though she would never express it, that she is to be the most treasured and sacred thing in the universe.
What do men know? Because they have seen no unicorns for a while does not mean that we have all vanished. We do not vanish.
And though she often struggles to see it within herself, she's ultimately right. With the oncoming cold winter nights, let's take a moment to celebrate the warmth and the chaotic confusion of the feminine soul. I want to put a big disclaimer here and say that I have no right or authority to talk on a subject like this. That said, it's something I'm really passionate about that I feel like doesn't get enough love or understanding. This sacred feminine archetype exists within all of us, some of us more so, others less. She's an elusive, wriggly thing that we should all be incredibly grateful for. She laughs and whispers in between the rustling of the leaves. She's the part of you that holds spiritual integrity, morality, compassion, and honesty. Purity is the soap of a dirty mind and heart, the part of you that connects to a community and hopes for peace and resolution. Purity gets a bad rap nowadays, but we all hold pieces of her. She holds a calm centeredness that we can't let slip away. She is twilight, the opening between worlds, and quiet becomings, and growth in the secret recesses of the earth. This is the aspect I most desire in all things. I've always held a non-stop obsession with all things beautiful in every expression they take. The deeper I dive into beauty, the more it's inherent to realize the sacred beauty of all things, light and dark and every shade in between. She's vain, but also deserves the admiration. A celebration of the sensory nature of existence, from colors, sounds, sensations, dreams, and fantasies, is my main motivation for creating. She's the womb of time, and all dwells as a consequence within her. She's the tide that raises all ships. As part of the ocean, she's equal parts dangerous and also the manna of life. She feeds and sustains kin. She passes on the wisdom of her experiences, washes the wounds of the injured. She inhabits the motherly and affectionate philia form of love. She brings peace to the mind, body, and heart. She is the spiny coolness of the air and the refreshing caresses of the soft winds. She longs for the bond of souls, intimacy at its most vulnerable. She loves to touch and be touched, to taste and be tasted, to dance and flow and sing and glow. She requires to be earned for all the sweet gifts she has to offer. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. When Odysseus was away for 20 years at war against the Trojans, his wife Penelope rejected every proposal and advance in honor of her unwavering commitment to her husband. When he finally returned, there was nothing to forgive him from his absence, and they were joyfully reunited. These are archetypes of the feminine soul, not things we should expect ourselves to be able to live up to perfectly, just things to aspire to. This is why we love our heroes and our stories, not for their factual nature, but for an ideal for us to look forward to, an arrow to point us in the right direction. She is the mistress of mysteries and a lamp in the darkness. The feminine is an oxymoron, with an emphasis on the oxy, and also probably moron. She refuses to accept a container, a box, a restraint. To tie her down is to smother her nature and gifts, while at the same time she longs to be held and defined. I only scratch the surface here, as true femininity really can't be marked or measured, but from what I've seen and read, a simple summary comes down to a core of a sacred understanding of the experience of being. She isn't caught up in legacy. She cares not for winning or competition. She holds no records of right or wrong. She simply is, in her wildest and most unstructured form. In the West, we live in a very masculine culture of results, structures, and productivity. Ever since the 1970s, I've noticed the pendulum starting to swing in the opposite direction, but we certainly carry many of the remnants of an overly brittle country. The Eastern world, on the other hand, seems to be in an opposite trajectory, with more industry taking precedence, with a history devoted to spirit. Like all things, balance is the ultimate goal. To tap into the heart and make sure it doesn't swallow us seems like a fair ask. Life is beautiful, and being alive is a sacred miracle within itself. And ultimately, this channel is about helping people find inspiration and creativity for their art. So I'd be remiss not to talk about one of the most important things that I've gleaned from all of this. I often joke with friends that to be an artist is to remain a child. Invite a little bit of chaos and curiosity back into your work and see kind of what inspires you and where it goes. Find something that doesn't make sense to get obsessed over and get jiggy with it. Whether this be a woman or an instrument or a rock or just a weird subject, find something that would have otherwise not piqued someone's interest and dive into it to a creative insanity. You might find that this is one of those things that ends up inspiring what makes you unique as an artist and helps define your overall voice and vision. I have a pattern when filming stuff that we'll always do one extra take after we have the one that we know we're happy with, just to experiment and play with. There's often times that you find a performance or a moment that you wouldn't have otherwise predicted just because you felt it out. No pressure, no expectations, just art for the sake of itself. Part of the core of the feminine is to test the mettle of the masculine. This is where those princess stories come in, of seeing if the prince is worthy of her hand in marriage. Are you really capable of doing what you set out to? We all have big goals and ambitions and a lot of drive, but are we willing to do the work necessary in order to be able to actually pull that off? This deep sense of purpose and sometimes guilt for not doing enough is what drives us to really accomplish what we know that we're capable of and live up to our expectations. It's important to note again that to capture the deep profundity of the feminine in a short video like this is kind of a fool's errand. And it's also important to note that I only talk about the light sides of the feminine soul in this. There's a whole other side to this coin that we have not even broached. I might cover that in a future video, but for now, I figured we celebrate in the light. In the meantime, let's celebrate what causes our hearts to beat, our minds to spin, and our souls to set ablaze. There was a lot in this project that I ended up cutting out just because I couldn't really find a good place for it and it seemed to not really fit properly. It also just took me a long time because every shot in this is either mine or has been modified by me in some way. If you like my work and you want to see kind of what's next, feel free to like and subscribe.